Hello everyone and welcome back to Press TV's rolling coverage of the situation going on in Gaza. It's day 15 of the Israeli onslaught on the Gaza Strip, the impoverished Gaza Strip so far. As of now, there's been 630 people killed as of this Israeli offensive. 3,700 others have been injured. Israeli forces have shelled a school sheltering displaced Palestinians in central Gaza. The school is run by the United Agency for Palestinian Refugees. Of course, we still don't have any details about that attack. Meanwhile, in shocking statement, the Secretary General of the United Nations has expressed his condolences to the Israelis for their losses without mentioning what the Israelis have done on the Gaza Strip. Well, first of all, let's get an update on the situation from our correspondent on the ground in Gaza, Akram Satari. Akram, over to you. What's the latest on the ground first?
Well, the Israeli airstrikes continue on the Palestinian territories. The last number of people that were killed by those Israeli airstrikes, either unmanned drones or by unmanned drones fire or by F-16s, is 4 people, 3 of which were killed in the Gaza middle zone in Al-Nusayrat area when they are targeted. One of them is 15 years old, the other one is 40 years old, and the third one is 20 years old. And there are some news about one person who was killed in Khan Yunis area. And the 2 incidents, the places that were targeted are mosques. And those mosques were targeted, and this is the time of Taraweeh. And some people are coming back, leaving the mosque and coming back to their homes. And it looks like they were targeted when they are making it from the mosque to their homes after they were completing their Taraweeh Salah. The unmanned drones can still be heard all over the Gaza city, and some bombardments can be heard in the northern and southern part of the Gaza city.
How has Hamas responded to the latest statements by the UN Chief Ban Ki-moon?
Well, the UN Chief Ban Ki-moon is offering condolences to the Israelis who were killed. And we can all realize that those people who were killed were engaging in hostilities against the people of Gaza. They are attacking heavily populated areas, and they are mostly soldiers. Palestinians are familiar with such an attitude. They are familiar with such a role that the UN is playing. They are supporting the right of Israel of self-defense, and what is happening in Gaza is being seen or deemed by them as a self-defense. Palestinians have been always aware that the whole international community is always worried about how Israelis the occupiers feel when they are killing other people, and they are expecting support and endorsement from international community for their losses when they are attacking a nation that has been under their occupation for 65 years. So Palestinians are not so happy with the statements of Ban Ki-moon, and they are expecting him to ask Israel to withdraw its troops from Gaza and to lift the siege instead of offering condolences for the soldiers who have been killing the people of Gaza and ended up being killed by the fire of the Palestinian resistance in Gaza.
All right, Press TV's Akram Satari giving us the latest on the ground there from Gaza. Thanks, sir, Akram. Well, also joining me to discuss the situation in Gaza is Hamid Golpira, journalist and political commentator, joining us here in the studio in Tehran, and Paul Larudi with the Free Palestine Movement joining us from San Francisco. Welcome to you both, gentlemen. First of all, I'll start with you, Hamid Golpira. Your reactions to the latest comments by the UN chief?
Well, it is biased in favor of Israel, which is problematic. That he's talking so much about Israel's so-called rights and not enough about the rights of the Palestinians, who, like I say, for to begin with, are under this occupation, which to begin with is unjust and also violates UN resolutions and international law. So that is problematic, and the fact that he's not giving enough weight and coverage to the fact that civilians are being killed in Gaza, by a force, the Israeli military, which has much more, material and means at their disposal, such as these F-14 jets, such as tanks, and all these things, whereas the Palestinians just have at most light arms and a few missiles. So it's unequal in the two whatever military groups you want to say are completely unbalanced. So this is also something that they're basically using this far greater superior military force to kill civilians in an area where their own defense forces in Gaza are much less well armed than the Israeli military.
Right. Paul Laridi from San Francisco. I mean, if the UN chief is expressing such comments about the Israeli fatalities, what can we expect from the UN itself?
We can expect exactly the same thing. The United States and Great Britain and the other members, permanent members of the Security Council, will veto anything that doesn't exonerate Israelis. And let's not kid ourselves. Ban Ki-moon was selected by the United States. He's in the employ of the United States. He does what he's told by the United States, and in a lot of cases, the United States does what it's told by Israel. Israel dictates the terms here. So none of these people, not Ban Ki-moon, not the representatives of the US government, nor of Great Britain or the others, believes for a moment that Israel is defending itself, and certainly not the leadership of Israel. This is not even imagined by them. This is for public consumption. They know that it's an ethnic cleansing project, that the whole purpose of this is to kill not Hamas. They want to keep Hamas there. They need an enemy. They need a weak, small enemy that is completely overpowered by Israeli weaponry. That's what they're not going to get rid of that. They're there to kill civilians. They're there to immiserate them, to ultimately to expel them. This is all part of the same project.
And Mr. Goldpira, I mean, why is it that when international law is violated by Israel, literally there's no action by the international organizations, and then when we have Hamas responding to a barrage of missiles by Israel, a flow of condemnation against Hamas?
Hamas gets condemned. Well, sometimes there's some comments about Israel violating international law, but there's no concrete action.
There's no balance, at least.
Yeah. So the fact that some made some remarks that how come Israel is violating UN Resolution 242 or some other, the fact that these remarks are made it doesn't translate into concrete action, and that's a problem too. But at the same rate, we have to say, like I agree with our other guest that Ban Ki-moon is because he's a puppet of the U.S. and the others, and all are being manipulated. But at the same rate, we say, okay, there's getting on about 50 or so countries in the UN which are Islamic majority. Palestine is an Islamic place, an Islamic country or a country to be. So where are these 50 countries? And unfortunately, some of these governments, whereas the people and citizens of those countries are, for the most part, in solidarity with Palestine, a lot of the governments aren't so much. So I think the citizens of Islamic countries must put more pressure on their governments to do stuff. Yeah, of course, these 5 countries have a veto at the UN, so that's the law or the rules of the UN, and we can't change the UN charter overnight. Maybe one day they can have UN reform, but as the UN is now, these 5 countries have a veto. But just the fact that they have a veto is no reason to just give up on things. If you can have these approximately 50 or so countries that are Islamic majority voting in a certain way, say we want this, we want real action against Israel, we want real action about war crimes being committed against Israel, and bring in some allies. There are countries in like South America, like Bolivia has and some others, or Venezuela have been in a certain at least some kind of alliance with Palestine and the Islamic world. The Islamic world can bring in more countries, have the global South or other countries that could be a kind of justice alliance against this Israeli aggression and these Israeli war crimes, because they really are war crimes, and the words matter.
But can they take enough action?
Well, okay, to start is something to begin with. I mean, even if you're failing, to try to do something is better than to not try to do anything. So I think, things, at least the ball must get rolling. Things must happen, because there is a kind of psychological operations, like people start to say, okay, you can't do anything. Saying, okay, their military is more, or Israel has nuclear weapons. Okay, Israel probably does have nuclear weapons, or definitely does have nuclear weapons. But the fact that they have nuclear weapons doesn't mean that something like an apartheid regime won't fail. To draw an analogy with South Africa, okay, South Africa most probably had 8 or 9 nuclear weapons, yet the South African apartheid regime failed, and even South Africa got nuclear weapons, and in South Africa and Israel's nuclear weapons programs were connected. Even they conducted a joint nuclear test off of the coast of South Africa, which is a very important issue, which is often not mentioned so much. The only time that Israel got to test their nuclear weapons was in cooperation with South Africa, testing this weapon off the coast of South Africa. So there are a lot of parallels with the apartheid regime of South Africa and the apartheid regime of Israel. So we must not think the fact that they have nuclear weapons or that they have some kind of power or that they have many allies